Hi everybody, this is Ron, VA3FUC. Today we're going to be looking at the Ailunce HD1 radio here on VA3FUC ham radio. Welcome back to the shack. So today we're going to be talking about the Ailunce HD1 radio. My thoughts, how do I like it? And this is just going to be a review of my feelings for this radio. First of all, let's talk about the radio specs. It is a UHF VHF 10-watt radio. For your digital modes, most radios are only UHF, the 70 centimeter band. This radio has the 2 meter band and the 70 centimeter band available to it, so the UHF and VHF. The build quality is amazing. It feels like an actual radio. There's a lot of weight to this radio compared to, like, say, a Baofeng, which is a pretty light radio. What I also like about it is how it's built. There's no flex in it. You can like hammer nails if you wanted to with this. It's solidly built radio. What I also found interesting is that it's waterproof up to a certain I think it's like something like 30 seconds in water. Now I'm going to test that theory out because I don't have another one of these radios to test out. But what I found interesting is that you got the rubber gaskets. I don't know how well you can see that right there. And the battery itself slides in a different way. Usually most batteries, you just see them slide in. That's it. This one slides in like so. And then you press down to insert the battery. Belt clip, you're going to need a Torx driver to take out the screws to put on the belt clip, if that's something you like to use. I prefer a belt clip. Now, the lanyard that also comes with it ties into the top, which I don't like, so I never put the lanyard on this thing. Especially with it being at the top. It just catches on everything. The radio I've had no problem with this radio using it. The menu is pretty well organized, pretty simple to understand, and the build quality is really good. The software itself is somewhat tricky to use, but once you get the hang of using the software, it's actually fairly good software. The volume on this radio is particularly loud, which is very nice because if you're out and about and you can't hear and you got like a lot of wind noise or whatever, you can't hear your radio, you can turn that radio up to full blast and it is loud. Like, I mean, it is not like a Baofeng. I'm comparing it to a Baofeng because that's the first radio I had. The Baofeng, you turn it up, you got to turn it up all the way and it's not even that loud. This thing has a really good amplifier on it. The audio is crystal clear out of it. The one thing it does have that I will get into is its mic gain. It has an issue. I found that with the mic gain, it's always too loud. A lot of people said I sound muffled sometimes because I'm so used to talking to it like this, where I should be stretching my arm out for a few inches and then saying what I want to say. But that can be adjusted in the firmware. Sorry, the software that's built into the radio. The radio itself has a dual VOD, I think it was VOF. Sorry. And that allows you to actually listen to two stations at once. So you could set up this radio, say if you were doing GPS coordination with APRS. You could have APRS on channel 2, digital, and sending it to your hotspot. And you could have the second channel open up so you can still communicate on DMR. All in all, this radio is really good, well built. Some areas feel a little gimpsy. Like I'll say the Ptt button doesn't feel that great. The reason I say that is because when you press it, there's a micro switch, but you can't press it on the side or on this side if you accidentally don't press it right. So pressing up here doesn't trigger it. But if you were to put your finger down here and you pressed it, you could trigger it. Nitpicks. But what I like about it is the programmable keys on the side here. These have come in very handy, especially if I can't hit a repeater and I have to go to high power. I can easily go through my settings and turn my radio to high power or medium power or low power. Usually I keep it at low power at most stages, But there have been times where I've needed the high power to get out. If it's been a bad storm or something like that's been happening, I'll switch it over to high power and I can still hit the analog repeater, or digital if that's the case. The radio itself, screen-wise, is a nitpick. A very big nitpick with this screen. The fact that that it has one set of brightness, and that the brightness will turn off after a certain amount of time. You can leave the light totally on. It does not drain the battery that much. But if you're outside or anything like that, it is very hard to read the screen, as you'll see in this clip right here. So here's one problem with the HD1. Trying to read the screen. Right now, that screen is on full brightness, and I cannot read it, even in this lighting conditions. Now, granted, I am wearing sunglasses right now, but as you can see, it is almost impossible to read it. Let's zoom in a little bit more, and that light's on full time. You can see the buttons are easy to see, but not the screen. It's one of the disadvantages of this radio. Now, take in mind that that's just one problem with this radio that I have a little gripe with. Second gripe I have with this radio is the screw. Now, as I was looking through their website, all the other connections use a thumb screw to screw this. I have to use a screwdriver to get into this when I need to get into this. Yeah, sure, it's a little bit of inconvenience. But the factor is, if all the other ones use a screw that you can hand tighten, why isn't this one? I know, nitpicking. The HD1 software is not really that user-friendly. Like, sure, it takes a little while to get used to it, but once you got used to doing the code plug in that software, it's actually fairly simple, but it is something to keep in mind. Another gripe I have is on the Ailunce HD1 website, there's a way that you can download the address book. Right now, that address book has not worked in the last month. And at the recording of the last time I had to update this update the address book, it still wasn't working. So I have to use a separate site to get my code plug to put in the address, not the code plug, but to put in the address book. So they are nitpicks, but they are things that I feel that need to be addressed here. The radio itself is a very, very good radio, besides all of the nitpicks I pointed out. The light thing is the biggest issue I think I have with this radio, but other than that, it's a simple radio to use. Now, if you're watching me for the first time, thank you so much for watching this review. If you like the content that I have been providing to you and you did enjoy this review, why don't you hit the subscribe button, ring the bell so you know when we do other shows, including if I ever do a live view. The like button's another way that you can support the channel. It helps us out a lot. And it just shows people that you like the content, and it helps me know if you guys are liking what we produce here. Now, if you noticed over here, there was a couple pop-ups that might have popped up. Those are links to other channels that had reviewed the Ailunce HD1. There's a lot of other channels that have their own reviews out there, but I wanted to point them out to you guys so you guys can, check out their reviews too. And they're the best way to get to find out more about this radio. If there is something that I might have missed, they would have it covered. So to run it down, with it being water resistant, it being have great sound and has a lot of weight, I really don't think you can go wrong with the Ailunce HD1. Not saying anything bad about any of the other radios. The Anytone 878 is another great radio and has a lot of the same features that this one has. I just don't have the 878 to review yet. But if you did find this review helpful, please comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Until next time, everybody, 73.